This is going to be a brief video showing how Donald Trump has completely fried the brain of a person named Anthony Scaramucci. He used to be a staunch Trump supporter and has now done a complete 180 in politics, still obsessed with Donald Trump, but now just argues the exact flip side of anything Donald Trump says or does. So we're going to start the end of the video because this is where Anthony Scaramucci is now. And by the way, a little bit vulgar here, but Anthony Scaramucci is just desperate to stay relevant in politics.
All that hyper masculinity and all that bullying, tough guy intimidation, enemies lists, all the stupid stuff that small penis people have.
So that's where Anthony Scaramucci is now, which is disgusting to bring that up in politics. You're talking about a political discussion, you'd think you'd be talking about immigration or economy, not somebody's genitalia. Ridiculous. At least when Trump was kind of brought this up, or remember when people were making fun of his hands? And I think the insinuation was something. At least he did it in a more adroit way that wasn't so crass and disgusting.
A small hands. And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it. All right.
I don't know if Scaramucci is trying to be this brash New York guy, just copying Donald Trump. Again, he seems very obsessed with Donald Trump and anything he does in his entire life. Here's Scaramucci about 8 years ago actually supporting Donald Trump.
Well, obviously Melania, we could talk about the plagiarized issue, but she's a very elegant, she's beautiful from the inside out. She's incredibly classy. And Donald Trump Jr., boy, I'll tell you what, if you're if you're in New York and you're a political person, be careful, because he could take your job, okay? His father swooped in and knocked 16 other guys that were professional politicians out of the game in presidential politics. And Donald Trump Jr. who knows what he could do, given how eloquent he was last night and, frankly, how charismatic he was.
So not only Donald Trump himself, but apparently Donald Trump's entire family, Scaramucci has a ton of nice words to say on television about, and this actually led to Scaramucci becoming the White House press secretary for 11 days. Pretty embarrassing, but probably the shortest tenure of any White House press secretary, maybe even any major White House position, to last 11 days.
Hey everyone, we're breaking in with news of another shakeup for the Trump administration. White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci is now out of that position just over a week into the job.
I actually forgot why he even got fired, but I found a short clip on it. It's pretty funny, the reason he got fired.
I made a mistake. I'm accountable for the mistake. I paid the consequences of that mistake. And, I was honorably dismissed and I took it.
Scaramucci was referring to the expletive-filled interview he gave the New Yorker magazine, in which he referred to former Chief of Staff Reince Priebus as a paranoid schizophrenic.
And after watching that clip, I do remember that now. Scaramucci was talking to somebody, like a news reporter, and he thought it was off the record, but apparently it was not. And 11 days in, after calling Reince Priebus a paranoid schizophrenic, according to that clip there, Scaramucci is out. Now, this was 2 years later, so in 2017 is when he was fired as the White House press secretary, or the communications director, actually, rather. This is telling me here, this article. But the title here, this headline, Trump swaps insults on Twitter with former top aide who said he's damaging fabric of society. I believe that was Scaramucci saying that about Trump because, he apparently said just on a show that he had some bad things to say about Trump 2 years after he was fired. And then, however, up to this point, I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correctly, Scaramucci was still generally relatively pro-Trump on Twitter and kind of trying to stay somewhat relevant in politics. But I believe this is what really, the straw that, or the thing that really tilted Scaramucci to do an entire 180, because Trump responded to Scaramucci. Here, Anthony Scaramucci, who was quickly terminated from a position that he was totally incapable of handling, now seems to do nothing but television as the all-time expert on President Trump. Like many so-called television experts, he knows very little about me, other than the fact this administration has probably done more than any other administration yet. So anyway, that is true. Like Scaramucci was going around kind of saying, I know lots about Trump. But anyway, from this moment on, Scaramucci's opinion of Trump completely changed, which we'll get to right here. Scaramucci here says, to those asking, what took so long? You're right. I tried to see best in real Donald Trump based on private interactions and select policy alignment, but his increasingly divisive rhetoric and damage it's doing to the fabric of our society outweighs any short-term economic gain. And then you'll see after this is 2019, Scaramucci still is obsessed with Trump, just in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to look at Anthony Scaramucci's Twitter account as it stands right now. I haven't even looked at this yet, but from what I've seen of Anthony Scaramucci, at least today, because this clip that came out of him referring to Trump's genitalia, that's the first I've probably heard of him in a few years. Like, he has really not gained a lot of traction in politics for quite a while, and I'm guessing that that's why he's resorting to these vulgar remarks to try and kind of cut through the noise. And I guess it worked because, like I said, today is the first day I heard about Anthony Scaramucci for probably at least 2 years. But before that time, for maybe 2019 to 2022, the amount that he just did the 180 was quite amazing to see. So I'm going to look at some of his tweets from recently here. Yeah, this is all about Trump. You blew it tonight. You lost your morals in the Trump Bermuda Triangle. It can't be who you really are. And then he just, a clown emoji about a tweet about J.D. Vance. Trump psychologically is coming to grips with losing this election. He is growing darker as a result, and it will be a rough 81 days. Good. So this is about, I'm sure all these tweets are going to be about Donald Trump, I think. This change came today. Corey's back after an 8-year absence. Trump respects his loyalty. Looking at these tweets here, I mean, to the point of this video, Donald Trump just lives rent-free in this guy's head. I know that expression gets overused, but I don't know if there's a more clear example of it in the world right now than this Anthony Scaramucci guy. He goes from everything's great, we love Trump, I love Trump, Trump's whole family's great, blah, 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 to the exact opposite, probably just because he considers maybe this a better grift now, but I don't understand why he's doing this, to try to, I guess, stay relevant in politics, or to maybe try to get like an administration job in another administration, maybe Kamala Harris's, I don't know, but I think Anthony Scaramucci is rich. Like, he worked on Wall Street for a long time. I think he has some type of hedge fund set up. I don't know if it's a hedge fund necessarily, but some type of fund I believe that he's at least involved in. Like, I'm sure this guy's probably pretty rich. I don't understand how he has allowed Donald Trump to just infect his brain so much in two different directions, just completely pro-Trump to completely anti-Trump. I think that transformation was quite fascinating to see. And at least so far, at least up to this point, this does not seem to be going very well for Anthony Scaramucci. I mean, the amount of clout that he has certainly fallen off. Again, I haven't heard of him at all, really, for about 2 years. And another thing, I'll play that clip again. He looks pretty disheveled. He doesn't look nearly as good as he did back in 2016 when he was pro-Trump.
He's a big baby, which is why he has all that hyper masculinity and all that bullying, tough guy intimidation, enemies lists.
And so I'll close this video out with 3 words I think that perfectly describe the current state and probably the last 10 years of Anthony Scaramucci: Trump derangement syndrome.